Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video. I'm a 58-year-old man. I'm a single person living in my house. My wife divorced me after all our kids grew up, reached the age of 18 and went to college. I live alone by myself and I don't really have my kids visiting me that regularly. They all shifted to the city and I've stayed back in our old house where we all spent a decent amount of time with each other. The main reason for our divorce was my wife didn't like the concept of marriage and wanted freedom, and during the time that we got married, we didn't really have a choice, but under family pressure, we both had to give in and get married. My friends, too, never had any close relationship with me. They liked being away, and for this distance, I would blame no one but me. I worked at least 80 hours a week back in my days. I had responsibilities, 3 kids and a wife, and then saved for their future. I wasn't that educated, so yeah, you can understand how extra hard I would need to work to get my family going. My kids are all well settled and always busy in their own life. I last saw all of them 5 months ago at my oldest son's wedding, and in this incident, he and my daughter-in-law are the main subjects. This incident took 3 days, and I kind of have a hard time remembering the exact details that happened, but I am reliable enough to say nothing but what actually went down. 3 days ago, it was a Sunday, and as usual, I went to the church, and after the gathering, I came home to freshen up and to leave for the tea party that a really good friend of mine was hosting. I was just about to leave. I heard a knock on the window. And when I peeped through the window, it was my daughter-in-law, furiously banging on my door. I thought it was some sort of emergency for her to visit me from 2 hours away. As soon as I opened my door, she puts a resting bitch face and forces her way into my house. I feel severely disrespected, but as she is my daughter-in-law, I needed to keep calm, and so I did. She goes near the couch and sits down, still without any greetings or spoken words. I cleared my throat and asked if my son came over or was still in the car. She looked at me, giving me a disgusted look, and said that he would come whenever he wants to because this is his house. I couldn't get it, what she meant by that, so I just thought that she didn't know that this house is not a part of the inheritance, so I just laughed it off and tried having a conversation, and just when I was about to sit on my couch, she literally threw her hands and stood up in front of my face, threatening me that if I would sit in her couch, she would accuse me of raping her. I was getting scared, and as well as angry, then, like everyone, I asked her what was the motive behind this type of attitude. She just simply told me to get out of her house. I was getting really angry because no one has ever bossed me around in any way, and this girl was literally telling me to get out of my own house like she owns it. When I tell her that I won't and start standing my ground, she starts asserting herself into my face like 2 angry men while staring and in a low voice tells me that she would call the cops and tell them that I sexually took advantage of her while her husband dropped her off to complete some work. I would have no proof to explain myself with or prove my innocence with. That really scared me, so I just took some money and clothes along with all my documents and left the house. Of course, I carried my phone with me, and after reaching a motel gas station, I called my son and asked him what his intentions were with making his wife accuse me of assault and make me leave my own house by threatening me. He said he himself is shocked to hear that his wife did that, and he was out of the city they lived in, so basically he wouldn't know what must be going down at his house behind his back. He told me he would ask what happened to his wife and inform me. I don't know, but somewhere down there, I knew my son was lying about not knowing what his wife was doing and him not being in town because while leaving, I saw the exact car that my son uses 2 blocks away pulled up in the street. I know they have plotted the whole drama against me. So I called my lawyer immediately and asked what the hell I was supposed to do. He told me invasion of property is a crime, and as long as that house is in my name, I can't be kicked out, and suggested me to call the cops and tell them about her threatening me and how she had made false claim against me to accuse me of sexually assaulting her. And I agreed because I made that house with every penny I had and built it all from scratch. No way I am letting her take that house from me. I first called my ex-wife and told her about the whole situation. We may be divorced, but we still are each other's best friend, and we regularly contact each other. She said she would drive with her friend and try to reach our place as soon as possible. I called the cops and informed them about the whole situation I have been having, and they tell me to meet up at our house. Everything is set, and we need to meet up and kick them out. When I reached my house, most of my things were thrown out of the house and were being loaded in a truck. And I can see my son's car parked in front of our porch. I was really mad at him for lying. When I called him, he told me to stay at the motel for today. So this is why he wanted me to stay at the motel. The cops arrived after 5 minutes while I was waiting a little away from my house. I see the cops arriving and call my son and daughter-in-law out to see if they have the guts to face me. My daughter-in-law gets startled by my arrival and starts getting her stuff, trying to leave my house perimeter, while my son marches right into my face while asking what the hell I was doing there when he told me to stay at my motel. Then, when he notices the cops, he starts cursing at me and trying to get into his car while not even trying to get his wife back. After a chase they gave us, the cops managed to take my son in control, and my daughter-in-law took advantage and started running away. They couldn't catch her. The little trick was fast to outrun the cops. The cops took my son into custody and made him sit inside the house and made him call his wife and tell her that she should meet him up. And he also managed to get away from the cops, but she didn't buy that story but told him to F off, and she cut the call. My wife arrived in 1.5 hours, and she was shocked to see our son captured. After I explained to her in detail, she understood and agreed to remain calm and go through the whole investigation process. My lawyer arrived, and my son's lawyer is yet to arrive, and he refuses to speak in the absence of his lawyer. We had to pay the Packers guy and had to tell him about the whole drama. He understood and charged all the money to my son, like it was prepaid, but as he had to put everything back together, he didn't make a refund and went away. For that night, we would be calling it a day. Me, my ex-wife, would be staying at home for a few days, and my lawyer had to go to the police station with my son and cops as we were putting charges on him for trespassing and causing harm to my property. They are still looking for my daughter-in-law. Hello, everyone. I have a small update for y'all. So, as you all wanted to know what happened, my son was bailed out of jail by his lawyer and his friends. My daughter-in-law was caught and later convicted with fine charge of $2,000, and after submitting it, she was out of the station, and as she had threatened me about false accusations, we decided to get a restraining order against her to make sure she doesn't get anywhere close to me and further accuses me of falsely abusing her and making me look like a criminal. The real reason why my son did all this to me is still unclear, and my wife is trying to contact him. Another update. So the post has got so many upvotes, and this being my first post here makes me feel things. The real update is that now we know the real reason why my son did what he did to me. After a few days of them getting out of the police station, my wife contacted him, and he picked up because his wife had left him too, and he was all alone looking for a hand. So my ex-wife suggested he drive again to my house, and other siblings would be there as well, so that we all can sit together and talk things out like a family, and also spend some time together. I was in no position to see him without feeling that disappointment, but my daughter asked me to be calm and give him a chance to listen to his side of the story. So, according to him, his wife wanted more money in the family inheritance. Everything I had was distributed equally among the children, and the rest was given to my wife. And I had all savings that was left in this house because it is really special to me in every way. His wife forced him and would abuse and threaten to leave him if he didn't get this house from me. Her family members were in debt, so her plan was to take this house from me, sell it, get the money, and clear the debt. But as I knew I owed her nothing, I didn't feel bad for her, But from my son, I sure felt a bit angry and hurt. But I know he loved that woman and she manipulated him, and the rest is history. We talked a lot of things and were nostalgic. It felt amazing to have the family again. If you read this post after the update has been made, the daughter-in-law is the only a-hole here. Okay, for some context, my twin brother and I, 21 male, grew up, raised by our dad, 39, as a single parent. Mom, 39, was never in the picture up until last year. My dad was the best. Those were the best years of our lives. Dad was always present, kissing, hugging us, playing with us, sleeping in the same bed until a certain age because we liked it. There is just one thing. We've never heard an I love you from our dad. Like ever. My dad used to say something like, you are loved, but not the typical, I love you. And I don't know about my brother, but I grew up feeling like that was a missing piece. Because other kids' parents used to say, I love you, all the time. All of our lives, it was only the three of us until we went to college. We never met any partner, and our fathers stayed single. A month after my brother and I went to college, my father moved a guy in. His name is Eric. 3 months after moving him in, they got married, which makes me suspect they were dating before, which didn't bother us. It was fine. We even encouraged our dad to date, but he refused. So everything is fine. Eric is a nice guy. We get along well. He doesn't want to force a fatherly role, which is great. Eric and my dad used a surrogate 2 years ago. They now have a boy together. My dad hasn't changed a lot. He is busier, but he still makes time for us. More for me since my brother is further and comes less. I went to his house last Saturday as usual. When I arrived, he was lying on the couch and his son was lying on my dad's chest. My dad was kissing and playing games with him, and then he said, I love you, Lucas. I was pissed because I never heard that coming out of my dad's mouth for us, but his new son. So I confronted him, and he said it wasn't a big deal because actions speak louder than words. But I feel like we weren't good enough to be said, I love you, but his new son is. Eric heard and told me it was childish and thing to say. What do you guys think? I just feel like my dad is picking favorites and showing who matters more. I've been reading most of your comments and I'm on my way to his house, so I'll do what someone suggested. Ask him directly, do you love me? It's as simple as yes, no. Someone was asking, my mom wasn't on the picture because her parents forced her to give us up. They are wealthy, so were somehow ashamed that their daughter had babies at a very young age, and as my father refused to get married, they just forced her to give us up. Update. Okay, guys. I just arrived at my dad's house 2 hours ago, and the conversation just happened. I arrived, but my dad wasn't home because he was at the supermarket. Then he arrived like 15 minutes later. I was in my room, and he came to say, hi, love. Lucas was in his room and was eager to see Dad back, so he started jumping and crying to make my dad carry him. My dad took Lucas to the living room to watch a movie. They were watching it, and I joined them. So my dad kissed Lucas and said, I love you, my little one. That was uncomfortable. But then he looked at me with a smile on his face and said, I love you too, dummy. I must admit that it was weird, but felt good. My dad went to the kitchen because Lucas wanted some snacks, and I followed him. In the kitchen, I asked him what that was. So he replied that as I seemed to be mad at him the last time I was here, he just wanted to please me. Then he explained to me why he used you are loved, because he wanted something special for us and not the typical I love you. And also because he knows my mom didn't willingly give us up. Thus, by you are loved, he wanted to make us understand that we were loved by both our parents. So we don't internalize the idea of one parent not loving us because I love you implies that we only got love from him as a single dad. So I told him that from now on, I prefer to be told I love you, since our mom is in our lives now and she says she loves us. He wasn't happy about it because you are loved is a special connection between us, but he was willing to adjust now. He begged me not to doubt his love again. So that's it. I talked to my dad and it feels great. My brother came a couple of minutes ago and we will have dinner soon. NTA, you deserve to feel loved and hear that you are loved, especially from a parent. I don't think you handled it the best. Try to sit down with your dad. Therapy may help you work through some of this in a healthy way. My fiance, Mike, is a smoking hot man. I mean, he is model handsome, whereas I am a plus-size gothic woman that isn't considered conventionally attractive. He is also sapiosexual. We started long distance, and he didn't even ask for a photo for weeks. He said my brain was enough for him, and he has proven that every day. We've been together 5 years now, living together for 4, and I feel adored and practically worshipped. A week ago, he proposed. He did a perfect proposal with most of our friends and family involved. I noticed Julie wasn't there, who has been my best friend since we were 10, but I didn't think much of it. Julie is also extraordinarily beautiful and is an inspiring influencer. Mike sat me down 2 days ago and he looked very grim. I asked him what was wrong and he handed me his phone to show me a message thread with Julie where he asked for help planning his proposal. It started off fairly innocently where she asked questions about things such as the ring, locale. After that, she sent him questions like if he really wants to marry me due to my weight and health conditions. I have PCOS and fibro. Mike has been helping me with diet and exercise, and I've lost over 120 pounds. She's well aware of his encouragement and support, so this came out of left field. He said yes and went back to try to plan when she started bringing up my flaws, like my skin not being constantly clear or my slightly crooked nose. He flat out asked her what she's implying, and she said that someone as handsome as he should be with someone like her, not me. His response was a bit cruel, to be honest. He said that she wasn't intelligent enough to be attracted to, and her interests were vapid. She blocked him. I sent her a message asking her to come over to talk, and she freaked out because she already knew what it was about. She started making excuses at first, but then she just flat out said that I wasn't pretty enough to deserve him, and that it wasn't fair. She was beautiful and single. I sent her a message back saying that she was beautiful, but her personality has made her ugly, and then I blocked her. Our mutual friends are split. Some are saying I should be more sympathetic because she was brutally dumped recently. He cheated and got his affair partner pregnant. A few are mad that I insulted her as I did. I feel bad because I did insult her, and I know that she's always felt stupid compared to me, and that I hit her in her insecurities. My mom and Julie's mom are also BFFs, and this has unfortunately affected their friendship. And my mom is also a little upset that I didn't take the high road, but she understands that my friendship with Julie was over regardless. AITA for telling my friend her personality made her ugly. NTA, you need have nothing to do with Julie.